Mic check.
Long before any of the events of The Hobbit, there was a hidden city called Gondolin. In this city was crafted two very powerful blades that were used to kill thousands of goblins. These swords went by many names, but were more commonly referred to as Orcrist and Glamdring. Some of their nicknames included the Goblin Cleaver and the Foe Hammer, and Biter and Beater. These swords, wielded by the very king of Gondolin, struck fear into the heart of every goblin. But to begin to understand their power, we must first go back to the beginning of Middle-earth itself. The origin of the blades takes place about 7,000 years before the events of The Hobbit. Though the smith who made the blades isn't known, we do know what the blades looked like. Orcrist was described to be an elegant, slightly curved sword featuring a jeweled hilt and a beautiful scabbard. As for Glamdring, it was described to be of great power and beauty and have a jeweled hilt and a scabbard adorned with white and gold. Both swords had elven runes inscribed on the blade, which glowed with a cold blue light whenever goblins were near. This recognizable blue glow is what led to the Goblin King figuring out the sword's origins, as we see in Out of the Frying Pan into the Fryer from The Hobbit.
I know that sword! It is the Goblin Cleaver! The Biter! The blade that sliced 1,000 necks! Slashed them! Kill them! Kill them all! Cut off his head! He wields the Foe Hammer! The Beater! Bright as daylight!
The first time we see the swords is when the party loots William, Bert, and Tom's treasure trove. The swords immediately catch their eye and then are distributed to Thorin with Orcrist and Gandalf with Glamdring. Though it's not known for certain how the blades ended up in the Trolls' Hoard, it's safe to assume that after the fall of Gondolin, they were brought from far, far away and ultimately found by William, Bert, and Tom. After finding the swords, the party heads off to Rivendell, where we meet Elrond, the master of the last homely house. Elrond sees the swords and immediately asked if he could inspect them. Upon further inspection, Elrond sees the runes and helps the party figure out where the swords are from. Quote, "They are old swords, very old swords of the High Elves of the West, my kin. They were made in Gondolin for the Goblin Wars. This, Thorin, the runes name Orcrist, the Goblin Cleaver in the ancient tongue of Gondolin. It was a famous blade. This, Gandalf, was Glamdring, foe hammer that the king once wore." And if you actually look into the Silmarillion, you'll see what Elrond was talking about. We see the king of Gondolin, Turgon, bear Glamdring and presumably Orcrist, because Orcrist was the mate for Glamdring, as Turgon fights the goblins in these wars that I won't get into. After resting up, the party leaves the last homely house and heads up the Misty Mountains. Here, we see the party get dragged into Goblin Town and have a brawl with the goblins that are there. After escaping Goblin Town by the hairs of their beards, the dwarves and Bilbo set off for their next adventure. The next time we see Orcrist and Glamdring comes way later in the book. I'm talking the Battle of the Five Armies late. We see Thorin in the battle, killing all these goblins, just like slicing them up. But tragically, he is killed in battle, and during his funeral, Orcrist is actually buried with him. So we do know the fate of Orcrist. However, Glamdring is a little bit harder to figure out, because we actually never learned the fate of Glamdring. However, fan theories say that after Gandalf aided in the defeat of Sauron, he left Middle-earth and brought the sword with him. This concludes the history of Orcrist and Glamdring.